In this tutorial, we are going to build a shopping cart like Amazon using Next.js. What we're gonna do here is to create a page like this with header and smart cart section, list of products like this, product image, name, reviews, and price. Also, we have add to cart button here, and when you click on it, you will see a sidebar in the right side that shows subtotal, go to cart button, and list of items in the cart. Here you can change the number of items in the cart, and automatically the sidebar and the header will be updated. We use Redux Toolkit for handling items in the cart. This website follows the selected theme in your setting. Let's say I change the appearance to light. Here is the result in the website. Everything is white and the pages follow this change. Next feature of this web application is product details page. When you select a product, you will be redirected to product details. So we will use the routing feature of Next.js in app directory, the latest version of Next.js. And in the product details page, we have a link to go back to the home page, product image, product details, and a section for adding product to the cart. Here you can select number of items based on content stock and add it to the cart. By clicking on Add to Cart in the product details, you will be redirected to the cart page. Here you will see a list of items in the cart and you can change the quantity if you want. Also, we have subtotal section to show subtotal of shopping cart and a section for top seller offers. So if you want to add more products, here you can scroll and click on Add. Automatically, the new product will be added here. Here you can change it. It will be applied to the cart subtotal section. The next step is proceed to checkout. When I click on it, I will be redirected to a checkout wizard like this. We will implement this component together. And here we get the shipping address using React hook form. By clicking on next, we will go to the next step. And as you see, the payment method is active. And we show bunch of radio buttons. So you can select the payment method. By clicking on next, we will be redirected to the preview order page. Here we show the preview of orders, the selected shipping address and payment method, and user can click on edit button to go to previous steps, change them, and it will be applied here. Also in the order summary section, we show the prices for items, tax, shipping, and total price. Okay, that's what we're gonna build together in this lesson. Let's see what we will learn here. First of all, we'll learn how to configure Next.js application using interactive UI and how to add pages and APIs to this framework. For CSS, we will use the CSS classes from Tailwind and we create custom CSS classes based on this framework. To manage shopping cart items, we use Redux Toolkit. It is super easy and handy for handling state in the web application. To handle form, we use React hook form to show validation error. And for showing the stars, we use React rating component. Before getting into code, let's see what we're gonna build in the source code. In the source code, we will create an API folder in the app to create a simple API to return top seller products. We create cart page like this, select payment method using React hook form, place order page, product details page, and shipping address page. Also in the layout, we use a store provider from Redux to handle state in the application. We have component folder, and in this folder, we will create bunch of components for header, checkout wizard, sidebar, add to cart button, and product rating. Also, we create a folder for Redux to manage all Redux related stuff in this folder and separate it from the next application. In the utils folder, we create sample data for shopping cart and constant to set the base URL for deploying this application on the cloud. That's it about the introduction to the course. Let's get to code. The first step is creating Next.js application. Based on the installation in nextjs.org website, we need to run this command. Open your VS Code. From terminal, create a new terminal. Go to your favorite folder. I'm going to go to the desktop and run npx create next app @latest. Press yes to install create next app and enter answers. Set the app name to Next.js shopping cart like Amazon. You can enter whatever you like. We're gonna use pure JavaScript, so enter no for TypeScript. We're gonna use ESLint for showing errors, yes. And we're gonna use Tailwind CSS for CSS framework. It asks to have a src folder, yes, we are gonna have source folder, and about app router, yeah, we are going to use the latest feature of Next.js App Router. And about the last question, it says, would you like to customize the default import alias? No, we are going to use the default one. And there we are. It's installing dependencies for us. And after a while, we will have Next.js shopping cart folder in the desktop. Okay, it's done. It's time to open this folder. From File menu, select Open Folder, go to your desktop and select the created folder. Open it. And there we are. We have our Next.js project here. It's time to run the project. From Terminal menu, New Terminal, and run npm run dev. That's it. It runs on localhost colon 3000. Just control click or command click on Windows. On Mac, here we have our project running. We are ready to go for building shopping cart. In this lesson, we are going to list products. Let us start by creating sample products. In the Explorer in VS Code, go to src folder and right-click New Folder, Utils. We're gonna create sample products in Utils folder. Inside Utils, create new file, set the file name to data.js. Inside data.js, export data constant as an object, and inside this object, define product as an array. Let's define sample products here. Here is the first product. For each product, we have ID, name, image, price, content stock, rating, non-reviews, and description. For image, we set it to /images/p1.jpg, and I will show you how to put images in the right folder to access them. Save it, and do the same for next 3 products. Here is second product, P2, a new name. This one is the third one, ID is 3. Image address is /images/p3. And the last one is P4. After creating this array, we are ready to put sample images inside public folder. Right-click, new folder, images, and enter 4 images, whatever you like. But if you want to use mine, I already downloaded sample images and I put them here and I paste them here. If you want to use these images, you just need to go my repository. Let me show you where is it here. And then go to public folder. Inside that, you will have images folder and you can download them and use them in your project. After creating sample data, go to page.js inside src app and get rid of main in the return section. Select all of them and remove them. And here I'm going to define a simple div and right before return get products from data. Select this one to auto import data from utils/data. Then inside the div, create curly brackets and just render product using map function. It's just for test. Product should be converted to, let's say, another div. And only enter product.name. Set the key to get rid of error, the product.id. It's just for test. Let's see what happens. Awesome. Simply, we list all products here. Good. We are ready to format list of products to make it like a real shopping cart. First of all, we need to install rating component to show stars. Let's install this package. Open your terminal, click on plus to create a new terminal, and run npm install spastrom/react-rating. Good. Then go to src folder and create the first component. So we need to create a new folder. Set folder name to components, and inside that create new file and set file name to product_rate.js. Here I need to use client because I need to wrap the new package inside use client to get rid of error in Next.js. Then import the style.css from React Rating component and also the rating component from this package. The last part is exporting product rate component and accept rate and count as props. Inside this, return a div, set class name to flex. It's from Tailwind CSS. And inside that, use rating component and set a style to max width 100 pixel. For rating, we need to set value, and based on the value, it shows stars. Make it read-only so user cannot change the stars in this component. And next to that, show number of reviews using count. And after that, put an space and show reviews. Great. Here is the product rate component, so we can use it inside the project. Next step is creating product item component. Go to components folder again, This time, create a new file and set file name to productitem.js. Type RFC and press tab to create product item component. It accepts product as parameter, and what we're gonna do here is to shape product thumbnail. Get rid of div and create another div, set class name to cart. To set the class of CSS class, go to globals.css. At the very end, create a class for card and use apply from Tailwind CSS and mix these classes together. Margin button 5, make the display block, make the border radius to 5.5 rem, create border, set the border and shadow. Save it, go back to product item, and create a link. Link should be imported from Next.js and set href to /product/id of product. Inside link, we're gonna put the product image. Use image component from Next/image and set the source to product image. We can get rid of backtick. It's simpler. Don't forget to set width and height for image, otherwise you will get an error. Set alternative text to product.name and use these classes from Tailwind. Make the image rounded, put shadow, use object cover to make all images like each other. Set the height to 24 rem and make it full width. Save the code and go back for adding a product name. Right after link, create a div to show product name and price. Use flex and flex column to put stuff vertically, make item center and justify center and create padding. In this div, create another link and use h2 heading 2, set text to large to show the product name. After product name, we need to show the rating of product using product rate component. We already created this component, just Command I on Mac or Control Space on Windows to get the recommendation and import it automatically in your product item component. Next step is showing the product brand using a paragraph, creating margin button, and put the brand of product here. Then create another paragraph for product price. Don't forget to put dollar before it. And create a button for add to cart. We implement this button later. Save the code and go to the page.js in the app folder right here. Update the CSS class of container div to grid. So we are going to create grid of products, set grid columns to 1 and gap to 4. For medium device, we have 3 columns, and for large device, we have 4 columns. And remove the inner div, replace it with product item component. Import it from component/product item. We already created this one. Get rid of image, import. And what I did here is to pass the product from products in the data.js to this component. And also I set the key to get rid of error for duplicate items in the array in Next.js. Save the code and let's check the result. Awesome. We created a list of products like this. Don't forget, the images inside public folder should be JPG, because in the data.js the type of images are JPG. Good. We implemented this part, and in the next part, we create header and sidebar. Let's go for it. In this lesson, we are going to create a layout for the shopping cart. Let us start by creating header component. Go to src components, right-click, new file, header.js. Type RFC and press tab to create header component. And get rid of div here and replace it with this code. We created header element from HTML. Inside that, create nav element, set class name to flex, justify content to a space between, make items center, create height for 3 rem using H12 from Tailwind, create horizontal padding, create shadow, set background to gray and text to white. Inside that, create link component from Next, command I, import it from Next/link, set class name to text large and font bold. Enter the brand name of your shopping cart inside that, and then create a div to show the cart and cart badge. Here we define custom class named cart badge. Let's go to the global CSS and define this class here. I'm using apply from Tailwind and set the position to absolute, font to bold, text to orange, create margin left, margin top, and text center, and set width to 1 rem. Great. Let's go for next component. It's the sidebar. Inside the components, right-click new file and set file name cart sidebar.js, and inside that, use this code export default function cart sidebar, and inside that, return this div. In this div, set the class name to fixed because we are going to keep it in the right side forever. Even if we scroll the page, we want to have it fixed there. Set the top to 0 and right to 0 to put it in the right top side corner. Set width, height to full, create shadow, set border, and for overflow scroll. So when items inside that exceeded the length of the screen, you will have a scroll there. Inside that, create a div, set padding vertically and padding horizontally, and set the value to cart is empty. We will fix it in next lesson based on the items in the cart. Good. Let's go for use them. Based on the lesson, it's time to create app component. Right-click in the components, new file, app.js. Here is the code for app.js. I'm using use client because in this component, I'm going to interact with the UI. That's why the component should be defined by use client in Next.js. And then export function app and get the children as props in the app function parameter. Inside the return section, create a div. Inside that, create another div, set margin right to 8 rem using mr-32 from Tailwind. And inside this div, use header from header component. Right after header component, define main element from HTML, create padding, and inside that, render the children. After rendering the main section, go for the cart sidebar. Just render cart sidebar and import it like this. Good. It's time to use app component inside the layout. Go to layout.js, find the children and wrap it inside app component like this. Import app component from @component/app. At the end, in the global.css for cart badge, set margin left 8 and margin top 0. Let's check the result. Awesome. Here we have header, we have cart badge, and a sidebar for cart items. We are going to implement add to cart. When we add an item to the cart, it's gonna be pops up here. Okay, that's it about this lesson. Until next lesson, bye-bye. In this lesson, we're gonna add Redux to the project. Redux is a state management, and we're gonna use it to manage the items in the cart. Let us start by creating a Redux folder inside src. Right-click, new file, Redux. Inside Redux, create slices folder. We're gonna use Redux Toolkit. That's why we need to create slices to slice states there. And the first slice is cart slice. New file, cart slice.js. What I'm gonna do here is to create a slice for cart. Import create a slice from Redux Toolkit. So I need to install it first. Open your terminal, npm install, and also install React Redux. We use these two packages to add Redux to the Next.js project. Then define initial state in the cart slice.js. It's an object, and here we have cart items. By default, there is no item in the cart. It's an empty array. Then define cart slice by calling create a slice function from Redux and pass this object to this function. It has name. Every slice should have a name, initial state, and bunch of reducers. Reducers is an object, and we define functions inside this object like this. For cart slice, we have two reducers, add to cart and remove from cart. In next sessions, we implement them. I just defined them here. At the end, we need to export reducers using this command. From cart slice.actions, extract reducers like this, add to cart and remove from cart, and export them so we can use them for other files. And don't forget to export default reducer from the cart slice. Save the code and let's go for next step. Next step is creating store.js inside Redux. Right-click, new file, store.js. Import config store from Redux Toolkit. By using config store, we create Redux store. We need to import cart slice reducer from the cart slice and call config store and set it to store and export it. The parameter for config store is reducer and devtools. For reducer, define list of slices, reducers that you have defined. We only have cart slice reducer and we set it to cart. Also set devtools to true. If we are in development mode, it should be true, and in production, we're not gonna share the state of application with others. That's why I'm using not env process environment. Good, that's it about store.js. Let's go for next step. Next step is creating a store provider component inside Redux folder. Right-click, new file, store provider.js. We use this component to wrap the whole Next.js application and make it possible for child components to access the Redux store. Because it's a client related component set use client in the first line, then import store and provider. Store comes from the store.js and provider comes from the React Redux. Then render store provider component. It accepts children as parameter, and what we return is the provider from React Redux. Set the store to the store variable from store.js, and inside that render children. The last step is in the layout.js. Find the app component and wrap it inside store provider. Command I import it from Redux folder. Great. We successfully added Redux to the project. Let's test it. First of all, install Redux Toolkit. Go to chrome.google.com/webstore and search for Redux DevTools. Select the first one and install it. Then create a new tab, go to your website, then open Inspector, go to the Redux tab, and there we are. The initial state of Redux is cart, and here we have cart items and empty array. So we can monitor the state of application from here. In this lesson, we're gonna implement add to cart and remove from cart feature. Let us start by editing the cart slice. Open cart slice.js in Redux slices folder, and in the initial state, add a new state, loading, and set default value to true. We use the loading to fix the render issue in Next.js in the server side and in the client side. Then go to the add to cart function and start implementing add to cart. First of all, we get the item from the action.payload. Action.payload contains the item that we're gonna add to the cart. Then check the item in the cart items. By default, cart items is empty, but here we use find method on cart items array to check if we already have this item in the cart or not. Then create if condition. If we have this item in the cart, just use map function on the cart item to change the item that is equal to exist item and update it with the item in the action.payload. So what we did here is to change the quantity of this item because action.payload contains the updated quantity of current product. And if it's not equal to the current item, we use the previous value in the cart item. I mean, we do not touch it. After this, simply calculate items price, shipping price, and total price. I'm using add decimal function. Let's define it out of the cart slice. What we did here is to convert a number like this to a number with 2 decimal points. To calculate the cart items, the items price, we call reduce function, and in the reduce function, we accumulate items price multiplied by items quantity. For shipping price, we just have a simple condition. If it's greater than $100, make it 0, otherwise make it 100 for shipping price. And for tax price, we use number caster and make the tax rate to 50%. Then wrap it inside add decimal. At the end, convert each numbers to number and put it in total price. Let's get rid of toFixDo because already add decimal did it for us. And here I can use add decimal here I need to save this state in the cookie. To do that, use cookies.set, create a new key in the cookie, set it to name, and convert the state to a string using JSON stringify and save it in the cookie. For cookie access in the Next.js, we need to open a new terminal and npm install JS cookies. It's a package to access cookie in the Next application. Don't forget to import it, Command I, and there we are. Great, we successfully implemented add to cart function. It's time to go for remove from cart. It's in single line of code. What we did is to call filter function on the cart item and filter out the item that is equal to the action.payload. Action.payload contains the ID of product that we are going to remove from the cart. The rest of code is very similar to add to cart, so I just copy this part and paste it right here. I'm gonna add a new reducer. It's hide loading. By calling this, the loading in the state should be false. So by default, in the initial state, it's true. And by calling this reducer, it's false. Don't forget to export hide loading as an action here. And let's use it in the app.js. Right before return, define useEffect, and inside that, dispatch hide loading action. Where does it come from, the dispatch? It comes from use dispatch from React Redux. By having this code, when the component mounts to the web page, the HTML document, the state of loading in the Redux store will be changed to false. Next step is in the global.css and adding two new classes for buttons, the primary buttons and default buttons. The primary button has gold background and the default button has gray background. Here is the classes for primary and default button. Next step is in the header component, and here I'm gonna show the real items in the cart instead of 0. To do that, right before return, use selector hook imported from React Redux, and from state get cart. Then the structure loading and cart items from the cart in the Redux store. Inside the cart badge, span get rid of 0 and use this code. If loading is true, show nothing. When items loaded in the client, use reduce function on the cart item and calculate sum of quantities in all items in the cart. The next place that I'm gonna show the items summary is in the cart sidebar. Cart sidebar. Here, instead of showing cart is empty, render this conditional rendering. If loading is true, show loading. If cart items.length equal to 0, show cart is empty. Otherwise, render empty container. Here we're gonna list items in the cart. How do we get cart items? Like what we did inside the header, we need to get them from the Redux store. So use this code. Inside this empty container, create a div, set the display to flex column item center to put the stuff vertically. The first row is subtotal, and second row is the value of subtotal, its item price. How do we get it? From the state.cart. The next row is a div. It has a link from next/link, and the address is /cart. I'm using these classes to make it like a button by creating a border around it. And the caption of this link is go to cart. After this div, create a Rust row here. It's a JS expression like this. What I did here is to use map function on the cart items in the Redux store and convert each item to a div like this. In this div, I set the key to item.id to get rid of warning about duplicate, and set the class to flex column to put stuff vertically. Inside this div, create a link to the product, and the link is an image. Import it from Next.js Set the source to image to item.image and the name to item.name. Set width and height to 50 and set class name to padding 1. Next to the product image, I created a select box. This select box makes it possible for user to change the number of this item in the cart. Set the value to item.quantity and for unchanged call add to cart handler and pass the item in the cart, and second parameter is the selected value in the select box. To render the options in this select box, I'm using content stock in the item. So I create an array from 1 to content stock so user can select all values inside the stock as a quantity for the selected item in the cart. After this, put a button to delete item from the cart. I just called remove from cart handler and pass the ID of item as parameter to this function. It's time to implement add to cart handler and remove from cart handler. Save the code to format it and let's implement them. If you don't get any error for undefined function like add to cart and remove from cart, simply open eslint.json and in the extend section, make it like an array and add eslint : recommended. Put a comma and save it. If you go back to here, as you see, you will get error for undefined variables. Scroll up and let's define them. As you see, for use selector, we do not have import command I or control space on Windows and press enter to import them. Let's define two functions. There we are. We have add to cart handler and remove from cart handler function. For add to cart handler, we have two parameters, the product and the quantity, and use dispatch. For dispatch, import it from Redux like this, and dispatch add to cart. Add to cart is an action from cart slice command I and import it from cart slice. Do the same for remove from cart. So when user click on add to cart, when user change the items in the select box for an item in the cart, with dispatch add to cart and pass the new quantity to add to cart parameter. For remove from cart, with dispatch remove from cart from the Redux store in the cart slice and pass the ID of product that we're gonna remove. Go back to app.js and fix the issue here. We do not have use effect, so import it from React and import hide loading from cart slice. At this point, we do not have any change in the UI, but if you refresh it, you will see loading for a moment here. It means that it works as we want. To test it out, we need to implement add to cart functionality. Let's implement it. Go to product item.js in components folder and get rid of button add to cart. Replace it with add to cart component and pass 3 parameters to this component. Show quantity by default, it's false. Product, it's the current product. And increase per click. When user click it multiple times, do we need to increase items in the cart or not? By default, it's true. Good, let's implement add to cart. Go to components, right click, new file, add to cart.js. Type RFC, press tab to create add to cart component. And here, accept the props. Product, show quantity by default, it's true. Redirect, by default, it's false. And increase per click, by default, it's false. What is redirect? When user click on add to cart button, do we want to redirect user to the cart page or not? Here in the product item, I'm not gonna redirect it, so I set it to false. Command I and import add to cart here from the same folder, add to cart.js. Go back to add to cart and let's implement it. Import use dispatch from React Redux, get cart items using use selector from React Redux, get access to router from next/navigation, and define a state for quantity using use state imported from React. Then define add to cart handler function like this. What I did here is to set the selected quantity as a new quantity and check if increase per click is true. If it's true, I find the product in the cart items, and if it's not greater than content stock, I mean the quantity of product plus 1, then set it as new quantity. Otherwise, show this error message. At the end, if everything is okay, call add to cart from cart slice file and pass the new quantity to this action. If redirect is true, after adding item to the cart, redirect user to the cart page. In the return part, define empty container and use this conditional rendering. If content stock is greater than 0 and show quantity is true, then create a div and create 2 columns. First column show QTY and second column is a select box that show the quantity inside that, so you can change it, and when you change quantity, the set QTY will be updated the QTY in the state. After this, create a div, and inside the div, check content stock. If it's greater than 0, show a button, otherwise show disabled button that caption is out of stock. For add to cart button, use primary button. We already implemented the CSS of it. And for on click, call add to cart handler, this function. Because we have used use state here, we need to set use client in the first line of this component. Let's check the result. Click add to cart. Awesome. Subtotal is 120. We have go to cart, we have delete button, and we have select box. To fix the CSS issue with select box, go to global.css. Right after body, for input box, select box, and text area, if the selected theme is dark, change the text color and background color to this. Save it, and there we are. As you see, by changing the value in the select box, it applies to the subtotal and also to the sidebar. That's the benefit of using Redux store, because all values here will be saved in the Redux store, and all other components, the child components, will be updated instantly by changing or dispatching actions and updating state in the Redux store. The issue that we have here, if I go to a page and go back, all items in the cart will be removed. Let's fix it. Go to cart slice. At the beginning, the initial state is empty array for cart items, but it shouldn't be. Replace it with this code. If we have cart in the cookie, use json.parse to convert the cart to a JavaScript object. Use ... to destructure the cart object and set loading to true like this. Otherwise, use the previous value as it was. Let's check the result now. Refresh. This time, all items in the cart will be back. Let's check the delete. Yes, it works. Cart 0 and cart is empty. Great, that's it about this lesson. Let's go for next one. In this lesson, we are going to implement product details page. To do that, go to src app and create a new folder for inside product, create a new folder and set the folder name to id inside a square bracket. A square bracket means parameter, so the final URL would be /product/id of product. Inside this folder, create a page to implement the UI of product details page. This folder structure is the contract of Next.js for app router. Then create a function like this. Set the function name to product details page and export default this function. In the parameter, from params property, extract ID. Next.js fill this ID with the value that user entered in the URL in /product/id of product. This ID will be set automatically by the value in the URL at this address /product/id of product. Then define product equal to data.find x goes to x.id equal to the ID in the function parameter. Import. After data, put products and get data from utils/data. What we did in this line is to get the product from the products array in the data.js and put it in the product variable. If product does not exist, return this div. Product not found. Otherwise, render this UI. Create a div. Inside that, create another div. Set padding horizontally, set padding vertically to 2, and create a link to go back to the home page. Import link from next link. Then create another div, make it like a grid, and set gap to 3 and make it 4 columns grid in middle screen. For first 2 columns here, I'm setting the call span to 2, show the image of product, import image from next/image, set the source and alternative text to product image and name, set the width, make the sizes to 100 viewport width, and set the style height to auto and width to 100%. So what we did by this image and this style is to occupy the whole 2 columns in the 4 columns style in parent div. Okay, after this column, we need to have 2 another columns. The first one is for product details. Let's go for it. Inside that, create unordered list, and the first list item is for product name. Use class name text large to make it large, the font size large. Second one is product rate component, command I, import it from /components/product rate, and pass the rate and count properties from the product object. Next one is for product description. Use HR to create a line and show the description inside paragraph. The last column is action column. Here we're going to show add to cart button. Here create a div, use cart to make border around it and set padding to 5. Inside that, create the first row, set flex and flex justify between, and create margin button to create a row. The first column is price and second column is the value of price. Then import add to cart, pass the product and make redirect to true. If you remember from the add to cart component in previous lesson, when redirect is true, after adding to cart we redirect user to the cart page. Great, here is the page.js inside /product/id of product, and let's go and test it. Select the product. Awesome. Here is the product details page. Let's test it. I'm going to add 3 of pink polo shirt and click add to cart. If you check for a second, we have 3 in the UI. If I go back, as you see, I have 3 and the subtotal works. The reason that I can't have the cart page is I didn't implement it yet. In the next lesson we implement it, but as you see, the add to cart feature in the product page works. That's it about this lesson. Let's go for next one. In this lesson, we are going to create cart page. Let us start by creating cart folder in app and create page.js inside that. App, right click, cart, and inside cart create page. They are contracts in app router of Next.js to create new pages. Set use client, because here we are going to interact with UI, and export default cart page. Get use dispatch from React Redux and use router from Next/navigation, and use selector from React Redux. In the state of Redux, get cart and the structure loading cart items and items price from it. Then define 2 functions to click event handler, to event handler, remove from cart and add to cart. For remove from cart, call this action remove from cart in the cart slice in slices folder. And for add to cart, call add to cart from that slice. For add to cart, pass product fields and only update the quantity based on the quantity in the add to cart handler parameter. At the end, return a div like this, and inside div create heading 1. The title is shopping cart. Inside this div, create this conditional rendering. If loading is true, show loading in a div. If cart items.length equal to 0, show cart is empty, and create a link from next link to redirect user to the home page for shopping. Otherwise, create a div, set class name to grid, and for medium desktop, medium device, use 4 columns and set the gap to 5. It's equal to 1.25 rem in the Tailwind system. So we have 4 columns. 3 of 4 is for product items, I mean shopping cart items. create them here. I set call span to 3 and make overflow x auto. Inside that, create a table and set minimum width to 100%, make it full width. And here is the table header. Create border button, and inside that create 1, 2, 3, 4 cells. The first one is for product, quantity, price, and action. For product, make it left aligned. For prices, make them right aligned. Let's go to the table body, create table body, and inside that, use map function on cart items to convert each item in the shopping cart to a table row. Set key to get rid of unique key for each element error in React, and create border button using this class. For the first column, its product name, create a link, and inside link, use image to show a small image of product, and after that show the product name. I'm using Flex Item Center to put the stuff next to each other. Second cell is for quantity of this product in the shopping cart. I'm using a select box to make it possible for user to change the items in the shopping cart. I already explained it in the product item component. Third column is for items price, and the last one is for deletion using this table cell. Let's go and implement the second column like this. Inside this column, create another div, create a div, and inside that create another div, set class name to cart and create padding. Inside that, define unordered list, and for the first list item, show subtotal by using reduce function on the cart item. Here, I'm going to show number of items, and items price show the total price. The second LI is for proceed to checkout button, and when user click on it, we use router from next/navigation to redirect user to the shipping page in the checkout wizard. That's it. Let's check the result. I click on add to cart. Awesome. I get redirected to the cart page. I have shopping cart here and a table for showing items in the cart, and I can change the value in the cart and it applies to the subtotal in the cart page, in the header component, and in the cart sidebar component. Let's test it again. All items have been changed by the magic of Redux. That's it about this lesson. In this tutorial, we are going to create shipping page. Before going for this page, we need to create checkout wizard to show the steps of checkout in the header of e-commerce website. Let us start by going to the components folder, right-click new file, set file name to checkout wizard.js. Inside this component, create checkout wizard function and set the props to this object. Active step by default is 0. Inside that, return a div like this, and in this div, set flex, the display flex, create margin button, and set the wrap for flex wrap. Inside this div, use map function on this array. This array has 4 strings. They are checkout wizard steps: user login, shipping address, payment method, and place order. In the map function, convert each string to a div, and inside the div, set the key to a step to get rid of unique key error for stuff inside map function. Set the class name, text center, set flex 1, and border button 2. By setting flex 1, each item occupy equal width in this div. For the class name, I'm going to create conditional CSS class if current index less than or equal to the active step, make it blue, it means that it's active. Otherwise, make it gray, it means that we didn't reach to this step, so make it gray. And inside that div, show the step value, user login, shipping address, etc. Save the code, and let's go for next step. Inside app, create a new file, set it to shipping.js. Inside this file, create shipping address page component and set use client in the first line, because here we're gonna get data from user, and because we have user interaction, we need to set use client by default in Next.js application. To create form, we use React hook form. Open your terminal, npm install React hook form. By using this, we can implement validation easily in the React and Next.js application. Then define use form hook, import from React hook form, and get handle submit, register, form state, extract errors, and set value from this hook. Then define router from use router, import it from next/navigation. Define dispatch from use dispatch from React Redux, and import use selector, get the cart and the structure shipping address from the cart. Extract shipping address from it. Next step is defining use effect. Import it from React, and inside that call set value from use form from React hook form, and set the full name input box value by the value in the shipping address full name in the Redux store. Do the same for address, city, postal code, and country. After that, define submit handler function. When user click on submit, we need to save these values inside the Redux store. So dispatch, save shipping address, and pass address information to this function. At the end, redirect user to the next page, which is payment method selection. Let's implement save shipping address, go to cart slice, and here define shipping address equal to empty object. Then go to the reducer part, and right before hide loading, define save shipping address reducer. It gets state and action, save the payload in the action in the shipping address, and save it in the cookie. Don't forget to export save shipping address, save it, go back, and import it right here. Okay, we are ready to return part, the render part. And what we're gonna do is to create a div and show checkout wizard. Import it, click on proceed to checkout. Oops, I forget to create a folder for shipping. Right click on the app, new folder, set it to shipping, and move this file inside shipping and rename it to page. It's the new contract in app router. Let's check the result. Here, first of all, we need to remove cookies, select it, and remove and OK, and reload. Cart is empty, go shopping, select, add to cart, proceed to checkout. Awesome. Here we have the checkout wizard inside shipping page. We are ready to implement the shipping address form here. Let's go for it. Right after checkout wizard, create a form, set class name to margin horizontally auto, and set the max width for medium screen. For onSubmit, call handle submit from use form in React hook form and pass the submit handler function. Handle submit pass the values, the form input box values to the submit handler function so we can use it here to dispatch save shipping address. Let's go for defining the first field. Create a div, set class name to margin button 4, create a label, and set the HTML4 to input box value, its full name, and set the label caption to full name. In the input, set class name to wfull to make it full width, set ID to full name to match it with the label here, make it autofocus because it's the first field, and here is the important part. Use ... register from React hook form and register this input box as full name, and the second parameter is the validations for this input box. The only validation that I'm gonna use is required, and if user did not fill this field, we show this error message using this code. If we have errors in the full name, show this error message. Save it. Do the same for second one, the address. Here I have two validations required, and the minimum length should be 3. Next field is city, this one, country, and the last input box to get address, postal code, and the last one is country. At the end, create a div, make it flex to and justify between, and set the button, create a button, set the class of button to primary button, and the caption to next. Save it, and here is the result. Awesome. We have shipping address. We can enter address and click on next to go to the payment method selection page. That's the topic of next lesson. In this lesson, we are going to get the payment method from user. Let's go to the app folder, right click, new folder for payment, and inside that create page.js to design the UI of this page. It's very similar to shipping address. So I'm going to copy this content, paste it here, and remove all divs and only keep the next button. Change it to payment method and redirect user to place order page. Change save shipping address to save payment method, and only pass payment method as a string, not object. And here I'm just getting the payment method. In the useEffects section, replace them with payment method, and in the use selector, destructure payment method from it. Inside the use effect, if shipping address.address does not exist, redirect user to previous step to enter the address. Save it, click here on the lamp and update dependency arrays for use effect. We need to implement save payment method. Go to cart slice, duplicate save shipping address, and rename it to save payment method. There is no need to make it and change it to payment method. Set a default value in the initial state for payment method to empty a string, and go back to page.js in the payment and import it. And don't forget to export save payment method as action in the cart slice. Go back to page.js and import save payment method here and get rid of save shipping address. Let's go and implement the UI. Go to the return section, and right after heading 1, create this conditional rendering. Define an array of 3 values, PayPal, Stripe, and cash only. Use map function to convert each string to a div. In this div, create an input element and set the type to radio to create a radio button, set value to the payment. So the first item should be PayPal, second Stripe, and the last one cash on delivery, and use a register to register payment method as required field in this form. Set the label to the selected payment, to the payment value in the array, and if there is an error, show error. Save it, go to cart, proceed to checkout, and click on next. Here we have payment method, selected payment method, and we can select payment method and click on next. Don't forget, for payment method in the checkout wizard, it should be blue. Let's scroll up, set active step to 2, and it's done. The payment method is the active one. If I click on next, I will get an error. I can move the error after next. Let's cut it from here and move it after. This time, this is much better. Please select payment method. I select PayPal and click on next. We will be redirected to place order screen. It's the last page that we're gonna build in this tutorial. Here is the last lesson in this tutorial. We are gonna create place order page. Like always, to create a page, we go to app folder, create a folder. It's place order, and inside that, create page.js. Inside that, create a function named place order screen. Because we're gonna show all information in the cart, I use selector from React Redux and get all information in the cart. Define use router hook from React Navigation and use effect hook to check if we have payment method or not. If user didn't fill the payment method form, we redirect it to that page. Go to the return part and create a div there and use checkout wizard, set active step to 3. Then create place order heading. Right after that, create conditional rendering like this. If I'm loading data, show loading. If cart item is empty, show it, and use next/link to redirect user to that page. Otherwise, create a div, use grid, and define 4 columns in that grid. It is very similar to cart page. Let's define the first column. Here is the code of first column. Set call span to 3, and inside that, create another div, set cart and padding. Here is the first cart, its shipping address, and in a div, show the shipping address information, and create another div right after that to make it editable. So by redirecting user to the shipping page, we can make it possible for user to edit the wrong address. This is for editing and displaying the payment method. And the last one is very similar to what we did inside the cart page to show the order items. Just import image from next/image, and that's it. Also, we created a div right after order items table to make it possible for user to go to the cart page and edit the values, because in this page, it's not possible to change the quantity. After this div, it's time to create the action div, the last column. There we are. This is the div. Create another div and create cart class, set heading to order summary, and inside that create a unordered list. The first list item is the item's price, next one tax price, shipping price, and total price. Last list item is for a button to redirect user to the place order and showing order details and payment gateways. Save the code and scroll up because we interact with user here. Make use client, and there we are. If I select a product, add to cart, go to checkout wizard, at the end, I have place order, order summary, and we can make it possible to have preview of the order. Let's say I want to edit the address, so I can edit it here, click next. If I want to edit order items, I can go here, change it, and proceed the checkout wizard to update it. Here we do not have quantity. Let's make it possible. It's QTY, and there we are. We have the quantity here. That's it about this lesson. Until next, bye-bye. In this lesson, I'm going to make the sidebar smart. So if there is no item in the cart, I'm going to hide it. And also in checkout wizard, I'm not going to show the sidebar for cart items at all. Let's go for it. First step is in the header component, and here use path name from Next.js right after link. Check path name. If it's not equal to cart, then show a caret using this CSS. I can move it from here, this caret, and set it just caret, then go to global.css. At the very end, define caret class and use apply and paste it here. So you can have better view of what is the class that I'm using to create a caret. Save it here, and the conditional rendering, check if I'm loaded data, if cart items is not empty, and the path is not /cart. Next step, inside the cart link, create SVG like this, set the width and height to 40 pixel, and the view box should be like this and fill with white color. The path is in the GitHub repository inside the header component, so you can grab it from there. Next step is in the app.js. Go to app.js and replace the class name here with this conditional class name. I need to get loading and cart item from Redux store using useSelector, and get the path name from Next/navigation. What I'm checking here is the loading. If loading is false, if I'm loading data, the class is empty. Otherwise, if cart items .length is greater than 0 and we are in the home page or product page, then show the cart sidebar by setting margin right to 8 rem. The last step is in the cart sidebar. Go to cart sidebar here and replace this class with this one. Like before, get path name from Next/navigation, and if I'm loading data, show nothing. If the data is loaded and cart item .length is greater than 0, I mean there is one item at least in the cart. And if I'm in the home page or in the product page, show the sidebar, otherwise show nothing. Let's check the result. I need to move the 5 inside this. Let's go for it. Inside header, find the cart badge right here. Go to global.css, find the cart badge and replace this class with this one. It is much better. Let's move to cart next to it. Inside header, for this link, set flex justify between an item's end. Save it. Great. Here is the better style. Okay, so if I remove items from the cart, even in the home page, I do not have cart sidebar. But when I add an item, you see the sidebar here, like this. If I go to product details, I still can see the sidebar. I can change the values. And when I go to the cart page, I can't see the sidebar at all. Okay, you can check the result in the light theme like this. Great. That's it about this course. Until next courses, bye bye.